When you hear someone say to put something inside your shoes, it might sound strange, maybe even too simple to have any deep meaning. But the real power doesn't come from the object itself, it comes from what it stands for. Every small action we take in life carries symbolic weight. Even the tiniest gestures can hold strong meaning. When you walk, every step is a part of your journey through life, through struggles, through unseen powers that may either support you or stand against you. Putting something inside your shoes is a conscious way of saying that with each step you are carrying intention. You are moving with purpose that crushes negativity beneath you and lifts you closer to protection, progress, and breakthrough. Psychologically, small acts like this are not superstition. They are hidden messages sent to your subconscious mind. The human brain reacts strongly to symbols and physical actions. Think about athletes who have their own small rituals before a game, or soldiers preparing before battle. The act itself isn't magic, but it wakes the mind up to focus, to readiness. In the same way, placing something in your shoes becomes a physical reminder that every step you take is guided, guarded, and filled with purpose. You stop walking without thought. You begin to walk as someone who has decided to take control and face whatever forces stand in the way. Philosophically, this small act mirrors an ancient truth. Life moves step by step. We don't jump from start to finish. We move forward one step at a time, and each step builds power. If the ground beneath your feet feels heavy with resistance, whether that comes from negativity, spiritual attacks, or hidden hostility, you'll sense it in your journey. But if you shift your awareness, if you give each step new meaning, even the ground can start to work for you, not against you. Walking with this symbol in your shoes changes ordinary movement into an act of faith and strength. It becomes a statement that you are reclaiming your path, refusing to let invisible forces dictate how far you go. There's also a powerful emotional release that happens when you take what you struggle with internally and express it through action. Many people stay stuck in fear or limitation because they never bring their inner battles into the open. By placing something inside your shoes, you give shape to what was once hidden, the unseen weight that slows you down. You recognize it, face it, and then place it symbolically under your feet, exactly where it belongs. This isn't about superstition, it's about mastery. It's a decision to lead your life rather than be led by fear. When you start to walk with that awareness, even your hidden enemies lose their control. You stop walking in fear and start walking with authority. Every step becomes an act of quiet victory. Imagine walking into your home, your workplace, or any new place knowing that each move you make is filled with purpose. The ground becomes a stage where your strength over negativity is shown again and again. From a mental perspective, this practice also trains your mind to stop seeing obstacles as impossible barriers. Every step becomes a statement. I am not trapped by what tries to hold me down. Over time, this shifts your thinking. You build a deep confidence, one that's not based on hope alone but on repeated, deliberate action. Walking with this mindset builds mental and spiritual endurance, the same way regular training strengthens the body. So, while it may seem like a small act, it's filled with layers of meaning. It's symbolic, mental, and spiritual all at once. It connects the invisible parts of your life and focuses them into a single clear act of purpose. The most important truth is that you already hold what you need. The shoes are already on your feet. The ground is already beneath you. The only question is, will you keep walking without awareness, or will you choose to walk with full authority, knowing every step carries meaning? When we talk about breaking invisible chains, we are really talking about freeing ourselves from unseen limits that hold us back. these chains aren't always made of metal. They often come in the form of energy, influence, or mental patterns that keep people stuck. This kind of blockage doesn't always show up as something you can see, but its effects are very real. They show up as constant setbacks, sudden losses, heavy energy, or moments where everything feels stuck no matter how hard you try. The danger is that because these forces are invisible, most people never recognize them for what they are. They explain them away as bad luck or coincidence, or blame themselves for failure. In truth, there are often hidden resistances at play that work quietly to slow progress. The first step in breaking any invisible chain is awareness. You can't destroy what you refuse to see. The simple act of putting something in your shoes is actually a message of awareness. It says, "I know there are unseen forces that try to stop me, but I will not walk blindly." By making this small declaration, you start to weaken the power those negative forces have, because what feeds them most is ignorance. They live in darkness, and once light touches them, their strength fades. On a psychological level, these chains show up as limiting beliefs, the quiet thoughts that whisper, "I can't," or "maybe this isn't for me." Every time you accept those thoughts, you strengthen the invisible prison around you. Sometimes these ideas are planted through fear, failure, or the words of others until they become part of your self-image. Breaking them begins with interrupting the pattern. When you place something in your shoes as a symbol of freedom, you're sending a direct message to your inner mind. I no longer agree with these limits. I no longer walk under their power. From that moment forward, every step you take says, "I walk as someone free." Philosophically, these chains represent the past trying to control the present. They are old wounds, family patterns, and past defeats that try to follow you. If ignored, they grow tighter until you start to think they are part of who you are, but they're not. A chain is something external. It doesn't belong to you. It can be broken. It can be thrown off. The moment you realize it isn't a part of your identity, you start to take your power back. That simple awareness is where freedom begins. This is why the act of placing something under your feet carries such strength. It turns the order upside down. Chains are meant to hold you down and limit your movement, but when you walk on them symbolically, you show that what once weighed you down is now beneath you. You're not being controlled anymore. You're walking over the very thing that used to control you. Every step becomes proof of your strength. Those who operate through negative energy or spiritual manipulation depend on one thing: that you won't resist. They hope you'll stay passive, repeating the same struggles, accepting frustration as normal. But the instant you decide to act, even through a small symbolic step, you break that pattern. That single moment of awareness and choice is where change begins. Every time you take that conscious step forward, you remind both yourself and the unseen world that you were never meant to walk in chains. You were meant to walk in strength, break the agreement that allowed them influence. Once that agreement is broken, their power loses its foundation. This is why breaking harmful influence can often be instant. It doesn't require years of struggle, just a single decisive act of awareness, resistance, and authority. Picture the difference between someone dragging heavy chains and someone walking freely. The first moves slowly, exhausted, weighed down by burden. The second moves with lightness, with speed, and with clarity. That change can happen in a single moment. Not because the chains vanish magically, but because the person recognizes them, breaks them, and refuses to carry them any longer. Understand this clearly. The chains around you are never stronger than the choice within you. They are only as strong as the power you give them. The moment you choose to face them, confront them, and step forward with authority, they shatter. Don't let what is unseen control the direction of your life. Choose to walk as someone free, and the chains that once bound you will only serve as reminders of the strength it took to break them. Wealth and opportunity aren't just about money. They are about flow, about alignment with possibility, and about living in a state where the resources you need can reach you unhindered. Yet for many, this flow seems blocked. No matter how much effort they put in, no matter how many skills they build, something invisible seems to get in the way. This is what I call the blocked path. It's not that opportunities don't exist, they are there, but the person cannot access them because a barrier has been placed, often born from hidden influence, negative intentions, or the psychological weight of fear and doubt. Think of a river. Its natural tendency is to flow, but place a large rock in its path and the water slows, stagnates, or diverts. In life, wealth and opportunity flow in the same way. The rocks are invisible obstacles, hidden interference, envy, negativity, or even your own limiting beliefs. People often get used to living with this blockage. They accept limited income, limited breakthroughs, and few doors opening as if that is all life can offer. But it is not true. The flow is still there, waiting to be released. Placing something in your shoes becomes a symbolic way of unblocking the path. Every step forward becomes an act of removing obstacles. Each movement signals to your subconscious mind that you are no longer living in limitation, but moving in alignment with abundance. This is important because the subconscious often governs how much you allow yourself to receive. If deep down you believe wealth is not for you, you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity. But the moment you walk with intention, you are reprogramming your inner world. You are telling yourself, I am stepping into new opportunities. I am ready to receive. Wealth is not just possession, it is potential. It is the capacity to expand, grow, create, and influence. When hidden forces block your wealth, they are not only stopping you from money, they are suppressing your ability to fully express yourself. They are cutting off the channels through which your purpose could reach its full impact. By removing these barriers, you are not only increasing your resources, but restoring your true self-expression. That is why releasing wealth is always connected to freedom. The freer you are inside, the more abundance flows outside. Timing is also crucial. Opportunities depend on being in the right place at the right moment. If your path is blocked, if every attempt to move forward is frustrated, you miss those moments. But when you walk with intention, when you place this symbolic act in your shoes, you align yourself with timing. Doors that were hidden become visible. Connections that seemed impossible appear. You no longer chase opportunities, they come to meet you along your path. Psychologically, this shift also removes the fear of lack. Most people live from scarcity, always worried that there won't be enough, anxious about tomorrow. Scarcity is one of the most powerful forms of limitation. It keeps you from taking risks, dreaming bigger, and expanding. But when you know your steps are guided, when you believe the flow is unblocked, you operate boldly. You make choices from vision, not fear. That is when wealth multiplies in every form. Wealth and opportunity aren't external prizes you must chase endlessly. They are already moving toward you. You only need to clear the path. You must walk as someone open, receptive, and fearless. When we speak of defeating enemies without direct confrontation, it's important to understand that enemies are not always the people who challenge you openly. Often they are unseen, subtle, and indirect. They may take the form of jealousy, resentment, or quiet sabotage. Sometimes they are external. people actively opposing your progress, but often they are internal: fear, doubt, or insecurity. Placing something in your shoes and walking on it is a statement. What once loomed above you, threatening you, now lies beneath your steps, powerless. Walking becomes a demonstration of direction, the clearest sign that you are moving forward regardless of resistance. Enemies aim to halt your movement. Their goal is not always to destroy you, but to slow you, make you hesitate, and trap you in cycles of frustration. When you recognize this, you realize that true victory over enemies is not in retaliation, but in forward motion. To keep walking, to keep progressing, is already to defeat them. Symbolically placing them under your feet reinforces this truth. Your path continues, their interference ends. Psychologically, the image of enemies underfoot is transformative. The human mind responds strongly to symbols of dominance and submission. To imagine yourself beneath opposition creates anxiety, helplessness, and paralysis. To imagine yourself standing on top of it, walking over it, reshapes the mental story. You stop seeing yourself as hunted and start seeing yourself as a conqueror. This matters because the way you perceive yourself determines how you move through life. If you see yourself constantly attacked, you will live cautiously, hesitantly. But if you see yourself as someone who is always moving, progressing, and rising above resistance, you begin to act with confidence. The path opens, obstacles lose their power, and every step forward is a reaffirmation of your freedom and authority. When you move beyond resistance, you begin to walk with boldness and confidence. In many ways, putting your enemies beneath your feet changes the entire balance of power. Across history and philosophy, the foot often symbolizes control and strength. Whatever you stand upon becomes something you rule over. The instant your feet touch the ground, it becomes your claimed space. So when you walk with the awareness that those who once opposed you are now under your feet, you take back authority over the forces that used to hold power over you. They lose their control, and in return, you gain a stronger sense of your own. It's also important to understand that enemies are not always as destructive as they seem. Sometimes their resistance is the very thing that shapes your strength. Just as muscles are strengthened through pressure and weight, the resistance of opposition can sharpen your mind, your discipline, and your purpose. When you place them beneath you, you are not pretending they don't exist. You are transforming their role. They turn into the solid ground that supports your steps, the weight that strengthens your stride. What once could have made you stumble becomes something that lifts you higher. When this way of seeing life becomes natural, everything changes. You stop wasting your precious energy worrying about who is against you. You stop allowing fear or suspicion to drain your spirit. Instead, you keep your attention on walking forward. The more you keep moving, the less important they become. The more distance you create, the smaller they appear. Enemies do not vanish, but they lose their meaning when your attention is no longer on them, but on your own direction. Remember always, your enemies cannot write your future, your steps do. Every step forward is proof that they did not stop you. Every new level you reach is living evidence that their efforts failed. Even the simple act of continuing your walk with awareness and steadiness turns their imagined power into dust under your feet. Real confidence isn't something you wear when you feel like it. It's something that lives in you every day. To walk with confidence and authority is to move through the world knowing deep inside that you are guided, protected, and supported, no matter what lies ahead. When you place something meaningful inside your shoes, it's more than a symbolic gesture of protection. It's a reminder to walk with purpose. The ground beneath you becomes something sacred, not ordinary. Every step becomes a sign that you are covered and guided in every direction you go. This awareness dissolves the hidden fear many people live with, the feeling that something unseen could make them fall. Instead, you begin to carry yourself with calm strength, knowing that your steps are secure. Confidence grows from certainty. People often lack confidence because they live in doubt. Doubt about their abilities, their goals, and whether their efforts will work. That doubt leads to hesitation, and hesitation weakens authority. But when you walk with a sense of meaning, when you align your steps with something symbolic and powerful, you create your own certainty. You stop wondering if you're protected. You start walking as if you know you are. That subtle shift transforms hesitation into clarity and fear into courage. True authority isn't about controlling others, it's about mastering yourself. You cannot rule your outer world until you've found balance in your inner one. Walking with confidence means you've learned how to stay steady despite doubt or manipulation. Each step you take becomes a statement from your inner belief to the outer world. The stronger your belief, the more the world adjusts to it. That's why people who walk with real confidence seem to draw things into alignment effortlessly. It's not arrogance, it's inner balance. Walking with authority means you stop apologizing for your existence. Many people move through life as if they must shrink to make others comfortable, as if they have no right to take up space. But when you understand that you are supported by something greater than yourself, you no longer hide. You expand. You move as someone who knows the ground beneath them is not random but given as a platform for their purpose. This posture isn't about pride, it's about knowing your worth. It's not about feeling above others, but about refusing to make yourself small in the face of fear. This shift in how you walk through life changes how you deal with challenges. Instead of reacting to every difficulty with anxiety, you see each one as something under your authority. Problems become things to walk over, one step at a time, with steady confidence. You stop measuring your progress by how big the problems seem and begin to measure it by how strong your steps have become. That's where true resilience grows, not from the absence of difficulty, but from the refusal to be shaken by it. When you walk in confidence, a new kind of freedom rises. The fear of the unknown starts to lose its hold. Instead of worrying about what might happen, you trust that you'll be able to face whatever does. That trust is what allows people to take chances, embrace new paths, and chase dreams others might think impossible. Without confidence, fear stops you from moving. With confidence, you seize the moment because you know your steps are directed by purpose. Every step forward becomes an act of faith that builds momentum for the next. Each time you walk, remember this: you are not walking as someone helpless against circumstances, but as someone shaping them. You are not walking in confusion, but in clarity. You are not walking alone, but with quiet authority in every movement. Real change does not happen just by waiting. It happens when faith meets action. When you decide to act with belief and the willingness to move, you create conditions for transformation to happen right away. Many people hold themselves back from breakthroughs, not because change is impossible, but because they hesitate. They doubt. They wait for the perfect moment. They let fear speak louder than trust. But when faith and action join together, hesitation fades and change appears instantly. It happens because faith changes how you see, and how you see shapes what you experience. When you truly believe that something can happen, your mind, your choices, and your habits begin to line up with that belief. Faith without action stays only an idea. Action without faith stays empty. But when the two unite, you reach a powerful harmony where change begins right away. Life responds to alignment. It doesn't reward scattered or uncertain energy. when thought, word, and action move as one. The invisible and visible meet, and potential becomes real. This is why results can sometimes feel sudden. It isn't that power appeared out of nowhere, but that your inner alignment finally unlocked it. However, instant doesn't always mean easy. Sometimes the instant result is a shift in your own awareness, the sudden lifting of old heaviness, or the breaking of a long cycle. What feels instant is the moment you move from being bound to being free. Years of confusion can collapse into a single second of clarity because transformation often happens in decisive turning points, not slow steps. Obedience, acting even when you don't fully understand, is central to this. True trust often asks us to take small actions that may not seem logical. Placing something inside your shoe might appear simple, but it's not about logic. It's about surrender. It's about showing that you trust enough to act. This kind of obedience is powerful because it silences the ego, the part of us that delays and doubts. Acting in faith clears space for change to arrive immediately. Every time you follow through with an act of belief, you strengthen that belief inside yourself. You begin to build a rhythm. Faith grows stronger, results appear faster, and your movement becomes natural and sure. Where once you hesitated, you now move with calm speed. Where once you doubted, you now act without second guessing. And it's this decisiveness that opens the path for results to come swiftly, because you're no longer slowing your own progress. Life always mirrors your level of clarity. When you hesitate, life holds back. When you move with steady faith, life opens up. When belief and action unite, all the delays fall away. The results that come are not random or far away. They appear in alignment with your readiness, because immediacy is the natural state of harmony. So never underestimate the power of a single act done in faith. Never doubt how quickly your world can change when you stop separating belief from action. The moment you decide, the moment you trust enough to act, the moment you walk in faith, that is when the breakthrough starts. Take your next step without fear, and let your trust and your obedience unlock what has been waiting for you all along.